Welcome to Sib Spot. Today's Reddit stories are from Entitled People. Story 1 is by Nancy Lou Marine. Do you know who my husband is? These are some of my favorite stories right here. With a title like that, oh, I know what's coming. This is actually something that happened to me over 20 years ago, but for some reason it just popped into my head, and since it fits here, well, here we are. When my now ex-husband was stationed at an Air Force base along the Gulf Coast, I worked in the layaway customer service catalog order gift wrapping department at the back of the base exchange, BX there, and had already been there for over a year. I was very well liked by both my coworkers and supervisors. Usually at this department, it's just kind of walk in and get what you need, as it's usually not a super busy department. However, beginning not long after Halloween and on into the new year, it gets horribly busy, and at that point it was required everyone pull a number from the ticket dispenser at the entryway to the department. Once the holiday season began, this was absolutely a hard, fast rule, no matter what. One weekend day, we were wall-to-wall people. From the moment we opened the registers, we were busy. It got so bad we had to call a couple people over from other departments for the sole purpose of ringing through layaways, so a couple people in our department could do nothing but gift wrap and grab layaways from the back that were being paid in full. I was at the register that was doing payments only on layaways. Not even PIFs, just payments. I'm waiting on a customer when I happen to glance up and see a woman walk through entryway and came straight to my register. No number grabbed, nothing. Just walked up straight to me and interrupted me with a customer I was currently assisting. Her, you need to help me immediately. I'm in a rush and I can't wait very long. Me, ma'am, well, I can appreciate that. Everyone here has somewhere else they'd like to be. If you just grab a numbered ticket there. Her, interrupting me, I don't have time for that. You need to just assist me now. At this point, I'd finished up with the customer I was helping and turned to click on the Now Being Served, which was the number I called out. Number 75? Next customer. Number 75, please. Her, now turning purple, she's so mad. Excuse me, you need to help me now. Do you know who my husband is? Me, unless he's number 75, it really doesn't matter. As if this isn't enough of a mic drop, this is where it gets really good. She's now apoplectic and demands to speak with my manager. Fair enough, let's go get her from the back where she's pulling PIF layaways and counting cash to be deposited in the main safe because our registers are getting full. Me to supervisor, I'm paraphrasing because it's been so long ago. Mary, this customer walked in, didn't take a number, came right to my register and demanded I take care of her ahead of a couple dozen customers who patiently waited. I asked her to pull a number, but she refused and asked me if I knew who her husband was. I should tell you that I told her unless he was number 75, it really didn't matter. Mary comes out to the registers and walks up to the woman and says, Ma'am, I'm this employee's supervisor and she tells me you'd like to talk to me. Entitled customer, yes, my supervisor held her hand up and cut off the woman and says, Ma'am, I'd love to help you right this second, but as you can see, we're really busy. If you could just pull a number, I'll speak with you when it's your turn. At that, Mary turned around and walked back to the back and pulled PIF layaways. I really wish I could describe the range of emotions this customer experienced before she finally turned on her heel and left in a huge huff. Then, to add insult to injury, just as the woman was departing, another customer, I have no idea who, said loud enough for the room to hear, Get back to us when your husband is more than a lieutenant. Best customer service day ever. Edited to add, forgot to mention her husband, who was indeed a lieutenant, came in the next day and apologized for her behavior. I love it when everybody's on the same page. Nobody likes to be budged in line by somebody who feels like their life is more important than anyone else's. You don't get special privileges in a queue. Get in line. Don't they have rules about that on military bases? I remember reading that, I don't know, some of these stories I'm never sure if they're true or not, but I remember reading months ago a story about a military base where a wife was acting like she was so important because her husband was a high-ranking official. And I think there's rules in place to punish people who do that, and it usually falls upon the husband to do it. So maybe he was required to come in and apologize for her behavior. But I don't know if that's a fact or if it was only on some bases, but I definitely remember that being a thing in one of these stories. Our next story today is by illbrain9995. Entitled to other people's money while being reckless with theirs. Oh man, I know this one person absolutely reckless with money. To give more context, we're on the same student loan program and get $1,000 monthly. I cannot make this up. The $1,000 is gone within the first 2 weeks of the month. The housing we have is either paid in full or installments per semester, so it's not going toward that besides maybe twice a year. Knowing them fairly well, the only thing they'd realistically need to buy during the average month is groceries and school supplies. Back to the entitlement part. I seriously don't know how someone wouldn't feel bad for this, but they ask their dad for money multiple times during the month. You'd think they'd save it and use it for essentials only, considering they have $0 to their name, right? Nope. They still act recklessly with it and have the audacity to ask their dad for more later. It's also not paid back to the dad, which makes it even worse. There's just no attempt in changing their spending habits. They literally joke about it and say crap like, "One thing about me, I always find a way to get money." It's not just their dad that they feel entitled to money from, it's myself and friends too. There has been quite a few occasions where they will make plans or say they can come to plans made by others that require some type of payment, clubbing, special events, etc. But because we know their spending habits and they often vocalize that they don't have any money prior to planning events, we often respond with, "But I thought you didn't have any money." So they obviously just assume that someone would pay for them. On occasion, everyone will agree to split the cost for an Uber home, and right after paying for it, they say something like, "I'll pay you back when I get money next month," without even bothering to see if that's okay in the first place. But God forbid anyone owes them money or hasn't sent it in a millisecond after they pay for it, while they wait a month to pay you back. Lol. I don't give them a single penny now, because it didn't take me long for me to realize they have no intent of actually putting forth the effort to try to be more responsible with their money. It's infuriating, but also unfortunate that the only way I can ever think of them changing their habit is through a rude awakening, where they no longer have anyone to depend on. This brings me back to an article I read where they talked about how there's an ask culture and then there's people who will never ask for anything. It's not just independence and dependence on others. It's I'm fine and comfortable asking for anything from anybody, and other people who are not comfortable with it. So the first ones are fine asking for money at every turn from anybody, and the other ones, they aren't. They'll go without till they or somebody they know or something they care about is suffering. Then they might ask. And though it's called a cultural thing, it's the way people are built. It's not specifically a culture, because you can have 2 siblings in a family that are on both sides of that range. Our next story today is by Emmis Baby. Entitled Customer didn't know I was more patient than the managers. I work at a college town bowling alley, and most of the coworkers do go to said college or nearby high schools. I'm lucky to have supervisors who let us stick up for ourselves when people are a bit unreasonable. 9 times out of 10, a supervisor will allow us to kick someone out on a 3-strike basis. A guy and his son came in and he was being really rough on our equipment, stepping on our lanes, even chipped a ball after he jumped the gutter. I was new to the job and being nice and just kept track of how many times he broke each rule. I informed him of the rules gently each time he broke one, and the 5th time I talked to him, he goes, "EC, do you know who my wife is?" Me, "Your wife's status doesn't change our company's rules. Step on the lane to bowl like that again and my supervisor will be escorting you out." EC, "You won't do that if you go to college nearby." Me, "I don't." I didn't. EC, "She's on the board there." He had a smug look, expecting me to bend over backwards now. Me, "That's nice. If you retrieve your own ball again or hit our lane sweep, then you're getting kicked out." Keep in mind I was still 1 month into this new job. My manager that day was known for her no BS customer policy among the workers, and I was being nice, trying to be the middleman and filtering what my manager said. EC, "No, I'm not. I paid for an hour. I'm playing for an hour. I'll make sure you lose this job too." Insinuating I won't be able to attend the local college, which is fine because I didn't like the local college. I shrug and get my supervisor. Supervisor, "OP told me a bit about the situation." EC, "Good, I want our wasted time to be refunded, and I want that employee written up for pointlessly bothering me. My wife is on the college board, and I can't wait to tell her about this." Supervisor, "You are aware that I was just at the counter, 5 feet away. I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to leave." EC, "I paid to bowl. You explain this to my son." His son was like 6. Supervisor, "Right." She knelt to the confused boy. Your daddy won't follow the rules, so I'm afraid you can't play anymore until he says sorry to the nice lady helping you. EC got mad and started yelling expletives, insults, and the like, saying she wasn't really the supervisor because she looked like she was in high school. She was. Demanded to talk to someone higher despite my supervisor saying she was the highest on duty. The general manager's little sister was working that day and got a video of the whole thing since it was close to the counter to send to her brother. The general manager came soon after. He's like a year older than me and demanded EC leave. He was no longer welcome there, and he hopes his wife doesn't hear about this incident. EC then called GM a liar, and that he was too young to be a GM because he didn't look 30. He then pulled the "I'm friends with the owner" bull, and that we will all be fired because of how he handled this. It took threatening police to get him to leave. We told the owner the next day, and, "Owner, yeah, I thought we banned that guy. He broke lane 16. Our stories for today have come to a close. Until we meet again, have an amazing day.